All right, this was a real trade. I broke through my plateau where I couldn't trade for a very, very long time. And now I'm back with plenty of practice and plenty of back testing to gain confidence in my trading rules. And once the trading rules were clear, when I had confidence in it, it became easier, much easier to execute and follow my own rules because I have the back testing to back up my confidence. So as always, on this channel, we're going to talk about Virgin Wick theory because that's the only thing we trade. And we trade the one simple setup such that when we journal, we have the same exact framework and setup and we can compare one trade to the next. So here we have a chat candle on the 2 hour and on the 1 hour similar. This is about to be New York Open. So we're at nearly 9:30. We're going to scroll forward. Okay, and here we see something interesting. New York opened with a immediate down move, but then it started to climb back up. And so now we're thinking if this all works out, we get to some sort of retracement of this downward candle, this chat candle. Here's the 2 hour version of the same candle, 2 hour. This is the 1 hour. So as I'm watching this, it's coming up and it keeps on coming up, and this is good because look at what's happening. It's literally the perfect scenario because we have this down chat candle. We're coming up to engage. What is this? That's the POI. How great, how perfect. During the market open, the first 15 minutes, the first few minutes of the market, we're coming right to the POI. So let's scroll forward. It starts to move up and down a little bit. And here we can start to mark up the chart this way. We have a swing high. We go down. We don't quite inverse this fair value gap. You see that? This is the fair value gap. We come down. We don't quite close below it. And instead we make a wick and we wick up. At this point, I was actually very glad it was developing this way because all the better if this swing point marked by X as per convention as to how Navi himself marks up the chart with an X, that indicates a sweep of liquidity. Look how perfect that is. We don't close the FVG quite yet on the 1 minute. And we make a higher high, except we make this engulfing, almost like Judas swing is actually what it's called. A Judas is a betrayal. So we come up strong only to take it right back down. And at this point, I look at a composite between the 1 minute and the 30 second, much as Navi himself would do. Navi would be proud of this one. This is the 30 second. At the exact same moment, the 1 minute was showing this. I'm also monitoring. Look at what this is. See this? Draw a box from here to this wick. What is that? Wow. Heck, that's a FVG. And look at this strong close. Look at this very strong close. The exact same moment that the 30-second FEG formed, 1 bar later, the FEG is inversed. If that's not a V-shaped inversed fair value gap and the sweep of that X, that swing high, this one here, on the 32nd. And right there, place the green and pink box and get your entry right there. And I'll show you. This is a screenshot of what was happening at the time. I took a screenshot. Immediate inverse on the 32nd, and look, I got the entry. And I got stopped there. I got my limit there. And a little bit later, we hit 1.5 R target right there. Target hit. And that's where the $84 profit across 15 accounts that you saw at the beginning of the video, the very first part of the video shows the profit. And here's all the 1 R took 2 minutes. 1.5 R, which is the target, took place in 5 minutes. And that's where I exited. But the thing went on to make 8 R after 1 hour and 5 seconds. See, maximal excursion was at 1 hour 5 minutes for 8 R. I don't have it here. Yeah, I don't have a screenshot of it. But eventually it goes to 8 R. But it all began with this initial high, not inversing, and then making a higher high, which is even more ideal. I was salivating at that point. If we sweep this X and we inverse this 30-second fair value gap, there's such a clean entry, such tight stop. And we talked about the maximum favorable excursion. Here's the maximum adverse excursion. It was negative 0.15 R. Hardly any heat I took, and it just goes straight to target. And then it goes on even further to 8 R. Some other things that Navi talks about. I took a few equilibrium points. What's the equilibrium? It's just the 50% mark. So this EQ, for reference, is the midpoint of this, and then this, or actually this to here is this EQ, and then this to here is this EQ. Equilibrium. EQ stands for equilibrium, which is just a fancy way of saying 50%. So I was monitoring, and just like Navi says, 50% is magic. It came to 50%, had this rejection, had this fair value gap inversion on the 30-second and on the 1 minute, sweeping this high, sweep, and goes down, boom, to 8 R. So we even passed the draw on liquidity and down. You can look at the NQ yourself for this morning. So to recap, before market opened, we had this chat candle, which is actually that's on the 2 hour. Yeah, don't worry about this one. This is on the 2 hour. For what we're doing the 1 hour chat candle, a real Chad with virgin wick. And how perfect was it that when New York opened, we came right up with these big green candles and came to engage this red line, which is the point of interest, which is this point of interest. We tag it, we make this reversal pattern, we sweep this high on the 1 minute, we inverse a fair value gap on the 30-second, and we have a beautiful trade that eventually goes to 8 R. And just to indicate that I'm not just taking this as theoretical, this was a real trade that I took. With 15 copy traded account, that's a $1,200 morning. And I'm only going to get more and more consistent, increase this size, and dig myself out of the hole. These are $150,000 accounts, but slowly I'm going to dig myself out one little bit at a time until I get payouts. So, in my trading career, I have never ever blown an account. I came close, but I'm gonna work hard to dig myself out slowly and not blow any accounts in any prop firm or life accounts. I've never blown an account. I guess I'm just super careful. The downside of that is it's taking me forever. This is an account I've had since 2025, if you can believe it. So, yeah, super patient, super careful, super averse to risk. But now with this single trading setup from Virgin Wick, I am going to get consistently, comfortably trading and get these to payouts. So I've never had a blown account. I've never had a payout, but that's steadily going to improve from this point on. I'm going to stick to the Virgin Wick. I'm going to stick to this one setup. I'm going to stick to this standardized way of documenting my charts so that I can compare apples to apples. Here's my back testing. Every single one of these is a back test, and I just document them all the same, Chad and all that stuff. And so there we go.